All right, I'm recording. The first thing I need to do is fork over Roman numerals from Lima Platoon to my my specific GitHub. So I've already done it. It says you've already forked Roman numerals, Tom Preet. So I'm coming over here. I'm back in Tom Preet, my GitHub. It's forked over from, I guess this one's from Kilo Platoon. But yeah, I'm gonna actually delete this. And then I'm gonna start over. There we go. So forking over Roman numerals from Lima Platoon, making a copy. I'm gonna actually delete. So I forked it over from Lima Platoon. That's the right one. So now I want to git clone down here, the green clone or download. Click that. I can highlight this, or I can press this little copy. It copies it to the clipboard. Can everyone just make sure they're on mute? Thank you. All right. So I'm going to CD up 2 levels. How do I move up 2 levels in the directory?
..
So CD .. Oh, no such error, retrieving current directory. So if I wanted to CD, there we go, CD code platoon. I think it's because it was deleted. I'm going to open this up in the current window. The challenges, code, command, space -R, period, enter. It's going to reopen VS Code under challenges. We've got 99 bottles, def grandma. And now I want to git clone this down, git clone. There it comes, Roman numerals. I can open it up. We have a JavaScript version and a Python version. And notice how this time we have Roman numerals and we have this Roman numerals spec file. What is that? What is the spec file?
It's for testing.
Yep, it's for testing. So it's always important to test your code, and we have separate files to actually test it. This is kind of like a lazy way of writing test specs. We will get into test-driven development where we're actually writing real test cases. But this is just like a quick, easy way to ensure that our code is outputting the right, has the right output. So what I did was open Roman numerals and Roman numerals spec. So they're both open in the same window, but I'm going to split the screen. So I have the Roman numerals spec on the right-hand side and the Roman numerals where I'm actually going to be writing my code on the left-hand side. I've split it. I'm going to close this Roman numeral spec on this side. And now I have this. Now we also have this exports.toRoman equals function. This is the first time we've seen this. What is this? What is this exports.toRoman? Why do we have that?
It makes that code available in other files.
Yep. So up until this point, we've just been running the code in a single file. But if we want to use this toRoman function or any function that we want in another file, we have to export it and then import it into whatever file we want. So right here, we're exporting this toRoman function, and then we're importing it in our toRoman spec file. Using
Quick question. So
yes.
if you had another function, you would have to do the same export on it. Is that correct?
Correct. And there's other ways. I'm going to kind of get into how to export multiple functions. I don't like it. I don't like this syntax of exporting, but I'll show you kind of what the other type of exporting is.
So
like
is there a way to just do every function available?
Yeah, I think you can export default or export. I don't know if there's a specific way to export everything. I just know you kind of down here, you can just export, what is it, module dot exports. Then you can actually write a function or a dictionary or an object and just have like to Roman and then followed by another function, and then that's how you export them. And you can look at module.exports. JavaScript tutorial. I like using MMDN because this is the official documentation for JavaScript. So you can export variables, lists. You can get down here, you can export default. Yeah, there's a bunch of ways to export functions. Did I do module.export? You can see creating module like exports, get name. There's multiple ways to do it, but yeah, you can export multiple functions as well. So we're exporting to Roman. It's a function. I'm going to actually change this. I'm going to actually, I'm going to actually leave it like this for right now. So to Roman, let's look at the requirements. We have the lazy way, just using this. Then we have the modern way where like 944 should be like CMXLIV. We have sample output right here. Consider the data structures that can be used to store numerical values and how it can relate to a string representation. Break the problem down. How many combinations are there really to consider? So I know I reached out to people yesterday, and if you ran into some issues, the initial question I would ask is like, what kind of data structure are you using to store, the Arabic to Roman numeral equivalent? So what I did, one second, consider what data structures that can be used to store numerical values and the string representation of it. So when in doubt, like even in interview questions, if you don't know the type of data structure to use, like if it doesn't come off the head right off of like, oh, it's clearly an array or clearly just a string, try to initially consider using an object. So when in doubt, use a hash. So I'm going to use an object, hash, they're the same thing. So I'm going to use an object. So I'm going to do const Arabic to Roman. And in here, I'm going to store all the string representation of Arabic, like this, as well as, where we got 14, 9. So as well as like the 4s and the 9s. So here, I'm going to start at the top, the highest value, and work my way down. So we have CM, which represents 900, and that's unique. And then I'm just going to keep going, and I'm just going to copy and paste what this looks like. So we have M represents 1,000, CM represents 900. The next value is 500. The next value 400, 100, 90, 50. So it's like like goes by like tens and then the 9s and 4s. So 10, 9, and 4. Or 10, 9, 5, and 4. Does anybody have any questions why I'm using specifically these values? Nope. All right. So now, from a logical standpoint, I see people do a bunch of if statements, and that's like the first thing you want to. That's like the first intuition to go through is like, okay, like if my number, my input number is like greater than or equal to 1,000, that means I'm going to need an M. So it's like if it's like a bunch of if statements. But there's a other way we can do this. We can loop through this object and test whether or not if number is greater than 1,000, then we want to do something with that, with this specific Roman numeral, because we need that Roman numeral. So but what do we actually need to do with that Roman numeral? We need to store it somewhere for like an answer. So we're probably going to need an answer variable. But how do we know how many times we actually need like the Roman numeral the specific Roman numeral? For like 300, how are we going to know that we need 3 C's to represent 300?
One way you can do it is you can subtract off the value of the key, and then that way you'll use the result and then loop back into it again, as long as it's greater than.
Yeah, that's definitely one way to do it. Well,
another way is
you can find how many.
Oh, go ahead.
Another alternative is to get the quotient, so not the decimal portion. I guess it'd be the floor.
The floor.
Function.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. Yep. So
Number
that's
of whole multiples.
I'm sorry?
Number of whole multiples.
Yep. Precisely. So I'm going to create an answer variable that's just an empty string right now. And I'm going to loop through this Arabic 2 Roman object for Roman and Arabic to Roman. And then I'm just going to console log Roman right now. I just want to make sure that this is in fact printing out this individual Roman numeral. So I can cd. So how do I run it? Node Roman numerals. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm not in the right directory. I'm still in the challenges directory. So I need to cd into Roman numerals. I'm going to list it. I need to go into the JavaScript directory. I clear it, list it again, cd into JS, list it again. Here's my Roman numerals, and here's my spec file. I'm going to run the spec file just to see what it looks like. So Roman numeral spec. Oh, crikeys. So what is happening? So it's throwing an error. Oh, so I got the string down here. So it says Roman numerals JS line 24. In my Roman numerals JS file, line 24, I have this thing that's throwing an error because this is not anything. So I'm just going to delete that. And it says like where the error is being thrown. So I'm going to clear it again. All right. So, all right, it ran the spec file, which is also running this, which is also console logging this. So it's printing out all of this in addition to this false statement. So I'm going to actually just node Roman numerals.js file. Nothing is outputting. Why is nothing outputting right now?
Nothing's calling the function.
Nothing is calling the function, exactly. So 2 Roman, and then I need to input some number. Let's do 914 or 944. Let's do that. And I'm going to go down here, back into my terminal, press up. If you press up, it goes to the previous or the most recent commands that you've executed. 2 Roman is not defined. Okay, so that's kind of why I don't like to use this exports. So I'm going to actually change this const. I'm going to change it to a arrow function. And down here, I'm going to do module.exports equals 2 Roman. And this module.exports is the same thing as just having exports.2 Roman. So I'm able to use it in here. I'm going to do 2 Roman. So let's see if this works now. There we go. So I'm running this code in here. I'm running Java Roman numerals JS file. Comes in here. It's looping through. It's doing the M, CM. Cool. It's working so far. But I want to get this value and compare it to the number value, that input parameter. So I'm just going to create a variable, let Arabic, because this is an Arabic numbers, Arabic to Roman, and I need to access this value. So in order for me to access this value, I need to list the object and then the Roman, the value at that key. So that's how this works. Console log, Arabic. Now here, I shouldn't see this, MCM. I should see the numbers 1,900, 500. There we go. What questions do you have so far of what I just did? So let's just retrace what I just did. I created an object of all the Roman numerals and the Arabic value equivalent, starting from the highest down to the lowest, because I want to actually loop through starting with the very highest number. I created an answer variable. This is where I'm going to actually store my Roman numeral answer, which I'm going to eventually return. Line 18, I'm looping through this object, and it loops through, it's starting from the top, going down, loops through 1,000, 900, right here. So it's looping through it. I'm assigning this number to a variable called Arabic, and I'm console logging that Arabic number. Now, what do I want to test first? I want to do a conditional statement to see if the number is greater than or equal to this Arabic number. Because if it is, that means I'll need this Roman numeral. So I do if number, is it number? Yep, if num is greater than or equal to Arabic, I'm going to console log the Arabic number. So in here, if I clear it again, what should I see print out on the screen if I run this again? Again, remember, I'm looping through this object, going 1,000, 900, 500, 400.
Everything except 1,000.
So I should see every number except 1,000, because 1,000 is greater than 944. So coming here, if number 944 is greater than or equal to 1,000, come in here, but it's not, so it's just going to skip this if statement, and then it's going to start again and loop again. So I'm going to run that. There, I got 900, 500, 400, 100. Cool. Now, I heard someone say we want to grab how many times like 900 fits in 944. So how do I determine how many times essentially this thing should be repeated? I heard someone say grab the floor. So I'm going to say let times, let me just like times, I'll say times repeated. How do I determine how many times like how many CMs should exist?
Your num divided by your key.
So I can do num divided by the Arabic. So the number divided by the value. So let's look at console logging times repeated.
Oh, you also need it to be the floor.
Right. We'll get there, but I just want to see, kind of show you. So the first, we're just going to look at the very first one and see how many times it's going to get repeated. So I'm going to run this. So don't worry about this. Just look at this. So it's going to repeat 1.04888 times. That's how many times that needs to be repeated in order for it to equal 944. But we don't, there's no way we can do 0.04888 repeating of this because this is just a string. It's not a number. So we have to grab the floor of that because we only want it to repeat once. How do I round down in JavaScript?
Math.floor.
Math.floor, like math.floor. Like that?
Close to be the capital M for math.
Cool. Yep, it's got to be a capital M. Math.floor. Math is a built-in method within JavaScript. So now let's run this and see what this equals right up here, this very first one. So we got it once. Cool. That's how many times that CM needs to be repeated. So now we can actually take that and apply it to our answer. So we can do answer, we can do plus equals because we want to keep on appending Roman numerals to our answer. And how do we repeat? How many can we just do? How do we add this value to our answer? So we
I
have
have a for loop, but there might be a better way.
Do Roman.repeat.
Cool. Yep. So I just want to console log that out. Oh. So we have Roman, which is console log here. It's the first loop. So we can do repeat value in JavaScript. So string repeat method, create an array with, it's not really what I want. So I have this, W3 schools is good. So I have a string. I don't know how this works. I'm Googling it. Where's the repeat? So string repeat twice. String is hello world. So ideally this should run twice, or sorry. Repeat. So it said repeats hello world twice. Cool. So we have a string called Roman, and we want it to repeat twice. Or repeat this times repeated, which currently is 1, but other times it might be greater than 1. So I'm just going to console log my answer now.
You didn't call repeat.
Oh, thank you. Repeat, like that. And I'm putting these semicolons and the end just because I'm used to it. I think new JavaScript doesn't really matter, but I like things. That's just the way I'm used to doing it. Console log answer. So let's just look at the first one. Whoa. So here's this first one, CM, that's great. And this one repeated 944 times. All right, so now we have the first one in our answer, which is this part. Now, what do we want to do? So we have the first one, but now we don't need that 900 anymore. We want it to move on to 500 and 400 and 300. So once we have 900 out of the way, we can subtract that 900 from the original number. So we can say number minus equals, but we want to, I can just do like Arabic, all right? No. Yeah, I can do like Arabic, which is 900. But what happens if I get down to, because right now this will work only because Arabic or this 900 is repeated once. What if it's like 333?
You have to multiply by your multiple, which is times repeated.
Okay, exactly. So I have to take the Arabic times it by how many times this Roman is actually being repeated. And
Yeah,
then
I don't think your if statement is necessary, right? Because if it's 0, it's not going to do anything.
True, but I don't want it to try to execute code that isn't necessary, because it's still going to go through here if I didn't have this. If I didn't have this if statement, it's still going to execute this code regardless, but I don't want it to execute that code.
Okay.
But it does work the same way. If I didn't have the if statement, it would still work. So once I have, so example 333, it's going to come down here to 1,000. Nope. 333 is not greater than 500. It's not greater than 400. 333 is greater than 100. So it's going to come into here. It's going to take the number 333 divided by 100, and it's going to be like 3.333. It's going to round down. So this number is going to be 3. And it's going to take the Roman value, which is C, and it's going to repeat it 3 times. And it's going to add that to my answer. And then it's going to take the what is it, the 100, which is here, times it by 3, which is 300, and subtract that from my number. So now my number is only 33. And then it just continues going down here, because it's looping through. And then the next one would be X. So it should be 3 C's, an X, and 3 ones? So at the very end, when it breaks out, it's going to return answer. I'm just going to console log the answer as well. Let's see if this works. Oh, yep, sorry. 3 X's and 3 3's. Because it's 3 10's. Now to make sure this all works, I can clean it up, get rid of my console logs, get rid of me executing this. And now I want to run my test spec file to see if it actually works. And I'm going to add some more test specs to this. Where is it? I'm going to see if this works. Just for fun. So if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that works. So if I do 9, should equal this. Whoop. Then 14 should equal this. 44 should equal then 944.
Hey, Tom, that 44, you have the Roman characters twice.
Oh, thank you. Fix that. All right, hopefully that works. So I've got some more, I wrote some more test specs.
You'll have one fail for sure. I think in your previous deletions, if you go back, I don't know if you're able to control Z twice, I think, we'll get the value you need for 944 in the Roman Roman numeral, because it was copied in. There we go.
Thank you. I'm down here in my terminal. I'm going to clear it. And now instead of running Roman numeral, the Roman JavaScript file, I just want to run the spec file. It's all true. That means they've all passed. Does anybody have any questions? There's multiple ways to solve it. This is probably the most efficient way. There might be a more efficient way, but this is the way I solved it. Is there a way to solve it using recursion? There is, but we'll get that later. If nobody has any questions, I'm going to stop the